Silky smooth, man. This truck ride's fantastic. On and off road. Hey, Jeff Kelderman here, Kelderman Trucks. Today we got something really cool. This is a 2024 Rex Rover overland vehicle built on a Ford F-350 chassis. So this customer, he lives out in Nebraska. Rex Rovers are built down in Missouri, and of course we're in Iowa. So we're connecting all the dots right here in the Midwest on this build. So customer got it. He had a couple of things he wanted to do custom on the bumper, and then of course he wanted to run our air suspension to have this thing riding on a cloud. Up front, we have our Alpha Series bumper with our Commander Series brush guard here, and also have a Warn 16.5 winch. So what's cool about this is, believe it or not, this guy tows this big vehicle behind a massive Class A motorhome. And one thing he wanted us to do is incorporate the brackets that he uses for his Blue Ox tow bar. So we got with engineering, Troy, designed this up with the specs and the parts for the Blue Ox tow bar. And as you can see, you hardly even notice unless you're really looking for it. We've got a set of black monster hooks on here, and we've got our Midnight Series 4-inch ridges here, and we're running 20-inch ridges on the center. So when this guy gets off-road, man, he can light all these up. He's got his Warn winch in case he gets in a sticky situation, which you're probably going to use that Warn winch. And obviously, he's got also some hooks in case he's got to do a quick yank and pull his buddy out, who might just happen to be stuck. So the finish on this Rex Rover is a bed liner material. So when you're taking these off-road, you're getting, in situations where you're gonna have tree branches rubbing against it, rocks bouncing off the tires, when you're on the Jeep trails. So it's got this heavy duty, the entire thing. I mean, even the top of the mirrors are Line-X. So we actually went with a real rough texture on the powder coat finish that it's not quite as porous as the bed liner on here, but I tell you what, it matches up and it looks just fantastic. So when this vehicle came to us, it had basically a stock suspension. I should check with the guys. I think I might have had a 2-inch leveling kit on it. But anyway, it had 35-inch tires, and customer wanted a little more ground clearance, so we ended up doing our 5 to 6-inch kit. So 5-6-inch kit consists of the new radius arms. We've got our Raptor shocks, which work fantastic on these heavier vehicles. The way we have them valved, it works fantastic whether you're empty or this is going to act more like a loaded vehicle. A couple other things we did. When you're lifting something this big and raising the center of gravity, you got to run big sway bars. So we're running the same sway bar as what we run on, say, a 10 to 12-inch lifted truck. So we popped off the 35-inch tires, and we put on these 37-inch Toyos. These are 37 by 12.5 by 20s. These are the Open Country RT Trail, which are cool because, it's got a good aggressive tread for off-road, but it's also got enough smooth surface so when he's racking up the miles, towing this behind his big RV, these tires are still going to last a long time. So the Airlift 3/8 system is just perfect for this. You could keep the truck level. When you add water, you add fuel, it's going to automatically compensate. But what's cool about this is, we could sync it up to our phone, or we can just go up here, and if we're parking for the night and camping, we can just, go up here, and, if one side's not level, we can just dump air on one side, so you can see where the triangles are. Now we're leaning. Oh, say, the front's still too high, well, we just hit a button and dump it down a little further. Or we may say, we got a low patch we got to go through, low hanging branch, we'll just dump the air out of it. So the versatility of having air ride on these overland vehicles, it's really, really good. And, we've been OEM with Earth Roamer for, I think it's like 15 years now. And as you know, Earth Roamer is the king of all kings when it comes to overland vehicles. And, a lot of people see that. They may not be able to afford a, $1.1 million Earth Roamer. I certainly can't. But you could get into something like this, a little smaller vehicle, but you could still have all the advantages of what an Earth Roamer has, because you can have the same control system on it. So on the rear, we got our 5 to 6-inch 4-link, and 4-link is meant for stuff like this. You got more weight on the rear axle than you do an empty truck, kind of like pulling a gooseneck. We got our big sway bar that comes standard with the kit. We upgraded the front sway bar to help the handling. You got your Raptor shocks, and the ride on this compared to when it first came in, I mean, literally, it's a day and night difference. You got a stock suspension, it's starting to sag a little bit. You know, you start to hit the bump stop. You know, when we go to the full Kelderman 4-link, everything has got correct amount of travel. You've got good articulation with the 4-link. I mean, it makes me want to, you know, hide in the back of this when this guy comes and gets the vehicle next week and do a little off-roading with him. So believe it or not, the biggest challenge on this vehicle wasn't putting the suspension on or incorporating the tow hooks on the bumper, is where do we put the control system? Because every inch under this has you know, the freshwater tank, the gray, black water tank, you know, LP tanks and stuff. So we ended up making some brackets here that fit in between this hitch. And we put our 3/8 system right here. We had to remote mount the dryer, and then normally we run 2 3-gallon tanks, but because we didn't have enough space, we're just running 1 3-gallon tank. And then to compensate for the lack of air, we can go in on our 3H on the screen and bump it up to 175 psi. That's going to kind of, you know, equal out not having the extra tank, because normally we'll run these at 150 psi. Needless to say, if you see this truck going down the road, you're going to do a double take. But what's even crazier, you see this going down the road being flat-towed behind a 45-foot Class A. Tell you what, man, that's baller. Thanks again for watching our video. We really appreciate it. You can follow us on our social media platforms listed right here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, hit that bell so you won't miss another video. If you want to watch our last video, click on the link in the description below. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. You don't need to feel those speed bumps. It's just like a little, I'm driving over a pencil.